Hi, my name is Michael, and today we're going to talk about why you should be prepared for an emergency and a few precautions to help you be ready during and after a disaster. So we decided to hit the streets and ask a few locals and tourists what they know about being prepared for when the unexpected happens. So what do you do when you hear the outdoor warning sirens?
If I heard the warning sirens, I would assume it was the tsunami.
Well, I've never heard of it, but I heard like you get that kind of siren if it's like a tsunami or whatever, so.
I would definitely look for the lifeguards and ask for more information.
You're gonna run, get out of it. Problem.
When I first hear the warning signs, I usually think to check the news.
Isn't that the one that they put on as like they test it once in a while?
Can I be honest? I would panic. Like,
I would just.
I don't know.
Leave, like.
I don't even know what the outdoor sirens sound like.
Ideally, most of us would like to push a button on our mobile phones and instantly teleport out of there. However, if you don't have teleport capabilities yet, head inland, away from the ocean, or go vertically at least to the 3rd floor of a concrete building with 6 or more floors. So what are major disasters that can impact Hawaii?
Traffic. The high prices.
Hurricanes.
A tsunami, because that could happen at any given time, and hurricanes.
Tsunami, tidal wave, volcano eruption, I guess, or an earthquake, I guess.
Well, tsunamis, volcano eruption, Big Island, we got like volcanoes there.
Oftentimes there's always the potential, like, I won't say plague, but illness that's, you know, also like Ebola.
Earthquakes, hurricanes, and tsunamis, I guess?
I don't know. I don't think volcanoes are really a problem anymore.
Maybe earthquakes, because we were on a hot spot.
All potential threats and major natural disasters that affect Hawaii are caused by hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes, flooding, tsunamis, landslides, wildfires, and pandemic outbreaks. Based on the level of impact or frequency of occurrence, hurricanes, tsunamis, and flooding are the top 3 natural disasters that Hawaii has encountered in most recent years. How can you be prepared?
First aid supplies, water filtration, and food, obviously, like that'll last a while.
I think learning from the locals or from the news, news.
It's like definitely keep yourself informed. What's going on? What's gonna happen?
Have like an emergency kit and have some flashlights, stuff like that.
An escape plan.
Make sure you have water.
Well, you can have stockpiled canned goods and all that stuff.
You should probably know, like, unlike us, like where to go in the event of a tsunami, an earthquake, or things like that. We don't know. You should probably be more
Like
prepared
food
and have
and
an
water
app
handy
and know where to go.
Having a first aid kit, water, food ready, light, and some way to contact people.
You can prepare for an emergency or disaster by storing at least a gallon of water, creating an emergency plan for who to call and what to do, and creating an emergency kit. But how long can you store tap water?
I would say a week.
Fill up your bathtubs too, you know what I mean?
3 days.
I would say about a week.
It's in a year.
Is there an expiration date for that?
3 months.
I feel like 6 months or something like that.
I feel like
Because
it's 3 days.
I don't think it's 3 days because like they have, oh, it's bottled water, never mind.
Tap water should remain safe indefinitely if stored in a clean, airtight container and in a cool location. The best practice to ensure safeness is to change your stored tap water every 6 months.
Aloha, I'm Rodney Boucher. I'm with the EVA Emergency Preparedness Committee, part of the Island Preparedness Group. I'm here today to talk about individual, family, and community preparedness. What I'd like to start off with is by saying you build your kit, you make a plan, and you stay informed. Starting off with building a kit, the very first thing you want to do is think about water and food. What I have here is a 1 liter container of water, You want to also consider the food supplies that you're going to need. For both water and food, you're going to need here on the islands of Hawaii is 7 to 10 days worth of supplies. So make sure you include snacks for your kids. Having a flashlight in your kit, actually 2 is 1 is a mantra I like to use. 2 flashlights equal 1. When one dies out, you always have a second one. Or if you have 2 family members, then at least you have multiple means. Having a whistle is always a good thing to have, so keep that in mind. Also, in reference to food and water, is you want to look about having a cooler of some type. You might not have access to the grocery store or ice or the other things that we're comfortable with, so you have to think about what you need that might not need refrigeration or icing, and what you can take immediately with you. Other things that you want to think about and having in your kit are clothing. An extra day's worth of clothing for each of your family members, other toiletries, toothpaste, mouthwash, anything else that you think your family needs. That includes prescription medication. Also, in addition to that, is first aid kits. Something like this for camping is great. Something like this is also good, but it's very limited in what you can have for first aid kits. When we're talking about food and water, you want to think about utensils, what you're going to need to have for that. So keep that in mind. Plates, yeah. If you're using cans, have a can opener. Something that will open cans that's non-electronic, because you might not have electricity with you at that time. Other things I have is a radio, a little emergency radio. It doubles as a flashlight, but it also is a radio, and it also has a little siren on it, and it's crank powered as well as battery powered. So keep that in mind, what you might need. That if you run out of batteries for a long extended stay of anything longer than 1 day, 2 days, that's what you might want to have, is something like this, a little crank battery radio. It doesn't have to be. A little AM, FM radio will keep you informed, which is one of those the third thing that I was talking about before, staying informed. Listening to the local radio stations, when you hear the sirens, one of the first things you want to do is find out. Stay informed, go to your radio stations, your television, your social media contacts, whatever you have available to you, and find out what the sirens are going for and why, and that will give you better information to be prepared in building your kit. When you make a plan, you need to practice your plan. If you've ever had a fire drill at work, at home, or at school, it's very similar. You want to make a plan and then you want to practice it. What do you need to do to get out the door? You need to have a kit ready to go. Or if you're going to stay in, you need to be staying informed. Build the plan against both of those options. Having something where you have information available to you about how to prepare, in this case for hurricanes or other tsunamis or other natural disasters, someplace to go. When you make your plan, you include your entire family in the process. If you have a fire drill at home, you want all your family to be safe. In the case of a natural disaster, optimally you'll all be together. Chances are someone might be at work, someone might be at school. So keep that in mind when you practice these plans. How do you do it? Who's your contact person? If you have a phone tree amongst your family and friends, that's fantastic. Keep that in mind, and you want to practice that. Also, you might want to practice having little portable radios, something that's very economically available in most stores, and you can at least talk to your own family within the distance that's allowed. You build your kit, you make your plan, you practice your plan, and then you stay informed.
The best way to learn more about being prepared for an emergency or disaster is on the web. A few ideas for search may be how to receive local emergency alerts, what are the neighborhood emergency plans for shelter and evacuation, and the emergency contact information for community leaders. Who do you believe that will come to help you after a disaster?
Maybe Red Cross, or that's the only organization I really know.
I feel like the government, like firemen, policemen, but they're also in the disaster, so maybe people from not here, I don't know.
National Guard or the Coast Guard?
I think people, the way people are in Hawaii just get together and help people out.
Medic or Army? If it's like the worst comes to worst, it would be like the Army, right?
Well, because I'm from Finland,
nobody.
Firefighters.
Typically, it's the National Guard or the Coast Guard.
It may take 72 hours or more for emergency personnel to reach you in a major disaster scenario. Emergency responders are part of the community that gets impacted, and there may not be enough resources at the time for rescue and response operations. This is why emergency supply kits are very important. Locals frequently deal with emergencies and disasters that have minor impacts, and communities may have the best resources to deal with community needs. Community involvement, therefore, is a vital link to providing much-needed support to response personnel, and may be the only response team in the first hours and days after an emergency or disaster. According to FEMA Disaster Declaration, Hawaii has declared disasters 28 times and an emergency declaration once. Only 7 of the 28 declarations were volcano or earthquake or both. The rest of the disaster declarations were for flooding, severe storms, landslides, or hurricanes. Presidential Policy Directive 8 describes the nation's approach to preparing for the threats that pose the greatest risk. In September 2011, the National Preparedness Goal was released, and it defines what it means for the whole community to be prepared for all types of disasters and emergencies. The document states that preparedness is a shared responsibility, and it calls for the involvement of everyone, not just the government, in being prepared. Community members are encouraged to partner with emergency management officials or organizations that can provide training to become more resilient to the outcome of an emergency or disaster. Hawaii is at risk to many different disasters. When a disaster hits your community, the first line of response and rescue is the community. So learning why, what, and how to respond in an emergency situation is vital. Make sure you learn where your community programs are and get trained so you can help out in a time of need, because you just may be helping someone close to you. People come together in the moments of disasters and emergencies, but with proper training and preparedness with community programs, people can be better equipped and more knowledgeable with the skills to handle emergency situations.